Earlier in the course, you read in the Texas State Plan for the Education of Gifted Students that districts must meet the needs of their gifted learners by modifying the depth, complexity, and pacing of the curriculum and instruction ordinarily provided by the school. Let's take a look at how teachers can differentiate learning through depth and complexity. Dr. Sandra Kaplan coined the phrase depth and complexity icons. Through her work, 11 icons were created to represent elements that generate a deeper, more complex thought process. Students can apply the elements of depth and complexity to dig deeper and make connections as they learn the grade level content. This will increase the level of challenge. Dr. Bertie Kingor states, applications of abstract thinking, complexity, and depth promote higher achievements from advanced and gifted students. Initially, teachers direct. Next, teachers facilitate in order to lift the rigor of a lesson or independent study. The ultimate goal is autonomous students able to implement depth in their own learning. Depth is considered the bigger picture. It refers to how a person approaches the big picture. Often the approach starts with the concrete and moves to the abstract, or starts with the known and moves to the unknown. Using the icons related to elements of depth requires students to examine facts and concepts, generalizations, related principles, and theories. It necessitates uncovering details and new knowledge related to a topic of study. Also, it encourages students to adopt perspectives and to see patterns in connections. Complexity bridges the content to other disciplines, enhancing the relevance for students. It also encourages students to relate to concepts and ideas at a sophisticated level, to see associations among diverse subjects, topics, or levels. And complexity encourages students to find multiple solutions from multiple points of view. Why should we use depth and complexity? Well, first of all, it engages all students in high-level thinking and learning. Depth and complexity develops each student's critical and creative thinking skills. It also provides an appropriate challenge to all students to become autonomous learners. And finally, using depth and complexity challenges students to develop deeper, more complex, and extensive understanding of subject matter. When students approach content using the elements of depth and complexity, they approach the subjects from the view of an expert. They understand concepts in a deeper and more complex way. Here is an example. Depth requires a student to uncover the detail about how a problem can be solved. We're talking in terms of math, problem solving. Complexity would then require a student to see relationships between the different parts of the problem and the strategies required to solve that problem. This leads us into the depth and complexity icons developed by Dr. Sandra Kaplan. Depth and complexity is comprised of 11 dimensions, 8 which are depth and 3 are complexity. The depth and complexity icons are words or prompts that activate higher levels of knowing. They help students to decode meaning and allow students to gain expertise in a domain. These icons link to non-linguistic representations that allow students to generate ideas. Students benefit from these icons to draw abstractions and conclusions across disciplines. Remember, we are not simply teaching these icons. We are teaching concepts to new levels of depth and complexity, using these pictures to stand for the thinking strategies. In the next section of this online course, you will go to a link to actually examine each of the elements of depth and complexity and look at the prompts that are available for each element.